You already know what it feels like to sit in a room full of people and feel like you're watching the whole thing from somewhere else. Not disconnected, not superior, just somewhere else. Like you arrived mid-scene and no one thought to fill you in on the rules everyone else seems to have memorized. You don't look different. You function fine. But underneath the surface, there's this constant quiet hum of not quite fitting. And maybe you've wondered, more than once, if something's wrong with you. There isn't. But I understand why you think that. Picture this. It's a dinner party. Everyone's laughing at something. You laugh too, at the right moments, watching the group's rhythm the way a dancer watches their partner. You say the right things. You nod. You scan faces for approval, for belonging, for some signal that you're doing this correctly. And somewhere in the middle of it, a strange thought surfaces. These people seem so comfortable in their own skin. Do they know something I don't? But here's what no one tells you. Most of them aren't thinking that hard. Most of them aren't paying that much attention. And that difference, the fact that your mind never stops scanning, never stops analyzing, never stops quietly asking why, that's not a bug. That's an adaptation. It's your brain working exactly as it was designed to work. It just wasn't designed for the world as it currently exists. The first layer of this is something psychologists sometimes call hyper-observation. You notice the micro-expression before the words land. You catch the subtext in a sentence. You feel the shift in a room's energy 10 minutes before anyone else acknowledges it. Most people operate on a kind of emotional autopilot. They react to what's said. You react to everything underneath what's said. This isn't mystical. It's just pattern recognition running at a higher sensitivity. Your nervous system is doing what nervous systems do. It's scanning for threat, for meaning, for consistency. It's just that yours is set to detect things other people don't even know exist. The cost is that you get overwhelmed by subtleties that shouldn't matter so much. But the gift is that you see what others miss entirely. But that's only part of it. Here's where it gets deeper. You don't just observe differently. You process differently. When something happens to you, it echoes. A comment from 8 years ago can surface mid-conversation, fully loaded with the same emotional weight it had when it happened. While others shake off an awkward moment by the time they get to their car, you're still sitting with it at 2 a.m., turning it over, examining it from every angle. This isn't weakness. Your brain is designed to hold on to experience and find the patterns inside it. You think in layers. You feel in depth. The problem isn't that you're too sensitive. It's that most environments weren't built for people who feel things this completely. And here's what most people misread completely. When you pull back from social situations, when you need time alone, when you tell someone you need space, they think you're being cold, uninterested, distant. But inside, you are absolutely drowning. Not in apathy, in the opposite. You're overwhelmed because you feel everything too much. The energy in the room, the unspoken tension between two people at the table, the disappointment your host is trying to hide behind their smile. You're absorbing all of it. And eventually, your system needs to stop downloading. Not because you don't care, because you care so much it's exhausting. This is the part that might hit different. You're not detached. You're hyper-attached. You care so deeply about whether you're doing things right, about whether people are okay, about whether the connection is real, that your mind keeps too many tabs open. The silence isn't indifference. It's your way of trying to close some of them. You've just never learned how to do that gracefully, because no one ever taught you that this is what was happening inside you. Here's the beautiful contradiction. The very thing that makes you feel separate is the same thing that makes you deeply connected to others in ways they can't access. When you do connect, really connect, you feel it everywhere. When you love, it's not casual. When you commit, it's not surface. You experience life with a depth that most people only taste in their most vulnerable moments. You just happen to experience the disconnection with equal depth. Both sides of you are turned all the way up. That can feel like a curse. In quieter moments, with more distance, it might feel like a strange kind of gift. But I want to be honest with you, because that's the only thing worth being. There's a version of this that becomes avoidance. When feeling different becomes a reason to stay on the edges, to never fully show up, to keep one foot out the door of every room you enter. You can use your sensitivity as a shelter instead of a bridge. You can tell yourself that no one would really understand you anyway, so why try? And sometimes, that story is easier to carry than the vulnerability of being fully known. I've seen this pattern in people who are brilliant and perceptive and deeply lonely. The same traits that make you see so much can become the reasons you don't let anyone see you. That matters. Not because you've done something wrong, but because you deserve to know when your armor is becoming a cage. So here's what I want you to take with you. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not a malfunction in a world that works for everyone else. You are a person with a mind that perceives at a frequency most people don't operate on. That is not a deficit. It is a different operating system. And the people who share yours, the ones who get it without explanation, they exist. They're just rare. And rare doesn't mean non-existent. It just means you have to look in different places. But once you find each other, you won't have to explain. You'll just start where everyone else ends. Now I want to ask you something. When you finally do find someone who understands you, who doesn't need you to translate yourself, do you feel more free with them or more afraid of losing them? Because I think those two responses come from the same place, and I'd love to explore that next. If this resonated with you, you already know why. There's a version of this for the people who learned to read others so well they forgot how to read themselves. That's a different kind of different, and it's worth understanding too.